Welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football. We're coming to you from PJ's Coffee on Airline Highway. Make sure you come by here, start your day every day with them. And if you need to get here and you don't have a car, stop by, check out my guy, Map Hours. He'll get you right with the best cars, the best customer service, the best prices. Make sure you check him out at one of his many dealerships throughout the region. We're going to break down our 53-man roster projections. If you want to follow along with those, sign onto the website. We'll have the whole rundown there of all the guys that we are picking to take on the 53-man roster. So we're going to talk about that and much more right after this quick word from our great sponsors. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Time for a new watch? Go check out Friend & Company Fine Jewelers' wide array of Breitling watches at their showroom on Maple Street. They have every type of watch that you want, and they can get you right for any type of occasion. And while you're there, check out their engagement salon. They'll make sure you find the perfect ring for that special someone. Their experienced staff offer 5-star customer care to help you find the perfect watch, ring, or whatever else you're looking to buy. Visit them today. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, 7713 Maple Street between Adams and Burdett, 504-866-5433, or visit them at friendandcompany.com. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show. Welcome back. I'm Nick Underhill here with Mike Triplett and Brandon Thomas, and it is now time for the lead presented by Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers are the official jewelers of the New Orleans Saints, and they should be the home for your next watch purchase. Make sure you go down there on Maple Street, check out their wide array of Breitling watches. They'll get you right for any type of occasion. They got a great engagement salon, so while you're there, make sure you check out what they got over there. Get your special lady that ring for that special question, and Ken will make sure that you're taken care of.
Lead topic, Saints roster projections. What was the toughest position to pick on the 53-man roster? Now that we've seen OTAs, we've seen minicamp, we've gone through, we had to make some decisions, but we projected the 53-man roster going into the season. Let's start off with you, Nick, and see where your roster is at with the receivers.
Yeah, to answer the first one, the toughest spot, I don't really think there was really a super tough spot. Maybe the back-end linebacker.
It was linebacker for you because you sent in a few revisions.
Yeah. Just kind of picking that last guy to get on there. But wide receiver, I don't think I really struggled too much with this one. I kind of got everybody on there. The hardest thing maybe was where do you take an extra guy, where don't you? This was a spot where I think I maybe took an extra guy. Somebody's going to have special teams value, but I couldn't cut Equiminius St. Brown, and I wasn't quite ready to cut Bub Memes either. I think he's probably going to find a way to make the team. So I decided to take 6 here, which meant I was going probably one. I'm guessing I'm going one lighter at linebacker than the rest of you guys.
Yeah, this is receiver is the one position where we had 3 completely different configurations. Mm-hmm. Every other position, I might be wrong about this, but I think every other position, at least 2 of us were identical. In this case, you kept St. Brown and Means. I only kept Means. Brandon only kept St. Brown. Now, when I first went through and I did it, I had St. Brown on it. And then my total was 54 or 55 or whatever it was. What I tried to do is I tried to cheat, and I tried to have 6 receivers and only 8 offensive linemen. And I even went back through their history. Even though I don't love all the offensive linemen, we'll talk about that position later. I was like, I got to go 9 offensive linemen. They go 9 offensive linemen. You're allowed to bring an extra one up on game days. They typically do that. So I left Equanimous St. Brown with sort of the asterisk that he feels like one of those guys that they could do a handshake agreement with. He could be one of those Saturday call-ups every week if they need him. If they think Bub Means isn't ready and they're going to do the redshirt freshman thing with Bub Means, he's going to be healthy and active every week. Equanimous gets the call on game day. But I couldn't cut Bub Means because I think there's enough profile there. I think there's enough potential there. People are always more scared of someone not being able to pass through waivers than reality. But with Bub Means, I'd be surprised to see him cut and try to sneak through on the practice squad. But, come game days, I'm predicting the redshirt freshman season for him. The write him in pen as a healthy and active most weeks, and maybe a veteran like St. Brown gets activated ahead of him.
And that was a very real possibility that went into my decision to keep St. Brown on the roster. But another thing that kept St. Brown on the roster for me personally is I think he's going to be able to fill that role as a big possession catcher.
Yep.
He's going to be able to go up there and be physical. And the things we saw during minicamp, he's not just a big guy, but he's also kind of agile. He can make those acrobatic plays. So those were some of the things that kept St. Brown on the roster. Also, he can block, and you're losing that with Jawan Johnson.
You don't have a lot of guys that can do that.
Right. So I think St. Brown's positives kind of keep him on the roster.
St. Brown is also, even though I didn't have him on there, I would say all 3 of us agree he is somebody who elevated his stock while we watched. Like, if we all did this exercise before the first OTAs and minicamp, I don't think any of us had him on there. He earned his way onto our radar this spring.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, though, because there is always – and wide receivers a spot where it always happens is where vets kind of shine this time of year, young guys don't. And then
they know what they're doing.
Then you kind of have that correction come training
Good
camp,
point.
and somebody that needs some time to figure out what they're doing figures it out. And you see the talent once all that stuff kind of slows down for him a little bit. That could just be the case with Bub Means, and maybe as everybody else elevates, St. Brown just is what he is. So you don't.
Really good point.
It's too soon to know, but based on what we've seen, and we're doing this right now, I mean, we can only go off of what we've seen. Right. To me, St. Brown was maybe the 4th best receiver that was out there. I mean, I think the discussion was Bub Means at this point.
Yeah, or for 3rd best, or you're saying Perry was your 3rd best?
I guess even 3rd best. Like they're in that mix.
Yeah, a little up and down in the spring, although we know his potential is enormous. So we also have the linebackers in this top category. Me and Brandon ended up with the exact same 6 linebackers, and then Nick, I think at one point you considered Jalen Ford, DeMarco Jackson, and Anthony Orji. I had to leave Anthony Orji off mine, even though he's another guy who's really stood out to me throughout the spring. And one name I toyed with possibly cutting was Kalika Hudson, a veteran who started for the Commanders last year. He's not going to start for the Saints. But Hudson was a mainstay on special teams for Washington, kind of like, Craig Robertson or Andrew Dowell of the past. So it's kind of hard for me to cut him if he becomes a core special teams player. But Kalika Hudson, Jalen Ford, DeMarco Jackson, Anthony Orji, that is 4 guys I would have liked to have found room for, and maybe only 1 or 2 spots.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just Ford hasn't played yet, so I'm not going to gift a spot on the roster to a 5th-round pick. Like, you got to earn it. So he'll probably find his way on there. Like, I think he's a good player, but we just haven't seen him yet. So until we see him, I can't make that decision. Orji kind of flashed to me on special teams throughout what we saw this summer. So I took him ahead of DeMarco Jackson. I think there's definitely a possibility that there's a changing of the guard there to a younger player.
No question.
But I mean, there's going to be a good battle here. But I think it's really the top 3. I think Hudson probably makes it 2. Probably I would probably put all of them in, and then it's 1 or 2 more spots here. The constructions of rosters too. Like, I'm not entirely sure that what we've seen in the past is going to be the same as the future because the kickoff rules change. And does that, like you mentioned, the O-line, like O-linemen used to have a role on there. Do they still? Does that change? Does that allow you to maybe go to 8, and then maybe you don't use that extra elevation because, I don't know, you don't need it as much. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how they go about it. But, I mean, if you're going shorter at O-line, maybe that's another way to get that extra wide receiver or that extra linebacker on the team.
Quick question before Brandon weighs in on linebacker. You cut, and obviously you just made a great point about how you're doing what you've seen so far. Mm-hmm. After 6 weeks of training camp and preseason, you might feel different. But you cut both Jalen Ford and Bub Means from your initial 53-man roster projection.
No, I have Means on there.
Oh, I thought
I cut Means.
You
yeah.
cut Means. All right.
Yeah.
Well, possibility of those guys, 5th-round picks. How safe is a 5th-round pick? What do you think is the ratio of 5th-round picks that get claimed on waivers and passed through to the practice squad? That's right on the dividing line for me. I feel like 4th-round picks are going to get claimed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think anyone picked up day 3. I mean, I'm willing to risk it. I'm willing to risk it. Like, if I'm losing a 5th-round linebacker, so be it. If that means I got to keep a better player, I mean, I'm okay with it. But with the way they do practice squad stuff, and that now, like, a lot of times they're going to protect their rookie, and they'll cut I don't know, Hudson might be a little bit above and beyond, but like they'll cut a DeMarco Jackson because nobody's going to claim DeMarco. Yeah. Everybody has their own version of DeMarco Jackson, so. A lot of times that's how you'll end up seeing it. But then DeMarco might end up playing more snaps than Jalen Ford, and they put him up, and then they cut a different guy that's DeMarco Jackson level after they've used the elevations out. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Adam Prentice will get cut a couple
That's what
times.
I was saying about St. Brown and several of these offensive linemen we considered. Once you're on a veteran contract, you don't have to pass through waivers. So we've very often seen 60-year veteran like an Equinemius St. Brown get cut, and then we show up and all his stuff's still in his locker.
They don't take all the plates out, but then like, oh, this is still his locker, and then he comes back and fills it in. But at linebacker, Kaliki Hudson, he's on the roster because of his special teams potential. Yep. Jalen Ford, I talked to him a little while after the last minicamp practice, and he was saying how he's back from his injury and he's continuing to try to learn things and just be a fly on the wall in the huddle, learning things from DeMario and Pete and Willie and different things like that. But going back to wide receiver, Bub Means, I really was thinking about putting him on my roster, but he got beat out by St. Brown. But if the Saints had Hard Knocks or something like that, Bub Means' relationship with Keith Williams as a coach, that they would have cameras on that the whole time because of the type of kind of like mentor-mentee relationship that's there. But I think ultimately it would come down to like one of the last episodes, and they put on the somber music, and they tell him Bub to bring his playbook in. But going back to linebacker,
sounds like an NOF network story that we got cameras.
Yeah, we got cameras and we got the bodies. That's right. That's right. But DeMarco Jackson, he was able to perform on special teams last year also, so that's why he stayed on the roster.
Always smart. If you can project what they're thinking on special teams, that's how a lot of these guys make the roster.
Definitely. Now it's time for our next segment presented by Shawbear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. All right, we had, a couple spots where we went back and forth, but let's hit those one at a time. Let's hit the running backs first.
Yeah, I took the guys that I think are going to.
Well, these next 5, one of us had a difference.
Yeah.
So the last section is the ones where we all agreed, but there's each one of these there's one person who went rogue here.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, Alvin, Jamal, Kendre, Taysom Hill, Adam Prentice. Adam was just ahead of Horvath throughout this process. I think that still could end up being a good battle, though, especially once they start doing live stuff and maybe some more of the passing attack gets involved. But we didn't see a ton of fullback stuff in general throughout these practices. But this is how I would go about putting that together. Horvath is going to have to beat out Prentice for me.
One thing that is interesting in this group is when we turned in our picks, me and Nick both on our own hadn't talked about it, listed Taysom Hill with the running backs and fullbacks. And I think you turned him in with the tight ends, Brandon. But he obviously is positionless or whatever. But it is funny. This is groundbreaking. Taysom Hill's never been listed with running backs before, and I think it's where he belongs, to be honest with you. But because of him, now Brandon, you almost kept Horvath and Prentice.
That's right.
And then Taysom Hill is technically a fullback / tight end or whatever. So I agree. I like all three of them. I went with Prentice ahead of Horvath, basically because he's the known commodity, but not to this coaching staff. They're both starting on equal ground with this coaching staff. Right. So that's definitely a tough decision, but you almost kept all three of them.
I did, but I went with Horvath over Prentice because we've seen Prentice. We've seen like kind of where he can be. Last year against Tampa Bay, he had that fumble on the goal line. He wasn't reliable as a pass catcher at certain points, but Horvath, I'm not going to say it's just because he wears the visor, but he comes with a sense of athleticism and kind of an aura of, okay, I can go out there and do what I need to do. Not saying that Prentice can't, but Horvath is unknown, but the coaching staff has an ability to mold him into what they need him to be in this offense. So that's why I went with him ultimately. Now let's go on the offensive line.
All right, you're the only one who kept Josiah Ezram, and now we're talking about a 7th-round pick who's a bit of a project. We saw him mostly with the 3rd string in the spring, so I felt comfortable putting him on my practice squad. He's not a guy I'm worried about risking through waivers, and I went with guys who I think will play. I actually, when I said I had Equanimeous St. Brown at first, I did not have Shane Lemieux on my team. I feel like keeping Lucas Patrick, Oli Udoh, and Landon Young, I feel like I've got all my spots backed up. Patrick, guard and tackle. Udoh, tackle, or Patrick, guard and center. Udoh, tackle and guard. Young, tackle with a little guard ability. But Shane Lemieux got some first-team looks, some second-team looks, so I put him on there. But he was my last guy on probably. But I left Ezra off because I just don't – I see all those guys more ready to play in week 1. But what do you like about Ezra that made you keep him?
I like Ezra. I put him on the roster because I think because he's such a project and he's not married to knowing one thing, he has the ability to get built into what they need him to build. Because the offensive line depth is very thin. If you look at where we have different people at, it's like, wow, it gets bad. Replaceable. It gets bad really quick. So I think if you're able to build him up into what you need him to be position-wise, he can fill in. But, I mean, I'm not married to it as, this guy's going to be, a stalwart on the offense. But, yeah, I just put him on there over Shane Lemieux because he's such a unknown that I think he can be molded into what they need him to be.
It would be a great spot if they could get it down to 8. It really would, and you could use a roster spot somewhere else. Because I don't think you're going to see these guys on special teams in the same way. It would just be would be fantastic to just have somewhere else to carry another player, and that could end up being safety. I mean, they just kept they brought back
Roderick Teamer.
Yeah, Teamer.
Teamer.
Yeah. So I mean, that could be a guy that you're taking on special teams instead of the 9th offensive lineman. It's going to
also a lot of guys on here that could be doing that on again, off again practice squad. Someone like Shane Lemieux could be on the practice squad all year and get activated on the game days when you need him.
Right.
Lucas Patrick, however, is the one that I think should almost be one, like have his name printed in one font higher. I think he's another guy. I mean, they didn't even have him on the team before the spring started, but I think he's a little elevated. But he feels like almost a lock to me. He's just a pro. He's come in here. We've had players tell us. We know he's worked with some of the coaches on this staff before. Like, he feels like a guy, if we knew him more, like what we thought of Andrews Pete and James Hurst and stuff like that, he feels like that level of player, and I feel really good about his chances of staying all year on the roster.
Yeah, to me, Fuaga, Saldivari, McCoy, Ruiz, Penning, Lucas Patrick, and Uli Udoh, to me, are they're in Sharpie to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're a little higher on Landon Young than me. I think he's going to make the team, but he just feels like
it's a major prove it year for him.
Yeah.
Like he's been potential for 3 years.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
I think that's a
the
really fair way to
clock
put it.
is at 11:59 on him.
Yeah, I think that's a really good and fair way to put it.
Now let's roll on to defensive tackle. Nick, you were the only one to leave to keep Kendall Vickers on your roster.
He was getting good snaps. He was getting high-level snaps. But, I got Brazil, Nathan Shepard, Colin Saunders, Kendall Vickers, and Christian Boyd. Vickers was getting a lot of high-level snaps. I don't feel like I have any impression of Boyd at this point, but I don't really know how I would since they aren't in pads yet.
Yeah.
But I think he's kind of a long-term project. I don't think they're expecting a ton from him in year 1. I mean, he comes from the same college as Trevor Penning. I think just looking at that alone should kind of maybe slow down the expectations because you kind of already know what kind of jump they're trying to make. So I wouldn't be counting on him for snaps, and I think you need 4. So I'm taking the top 4
I looked
there.
at this one, and I thought Nick got this one right, and we got it wrong. Honestly, the thing about Christian Boyd is very similar to what I was saying about Bub Eaton's. Maybe he makes the roster because they drafted him around 6, right? Around 6. And I know they want to keep him because it was a potential draft pick. So was Josiah Ezram for that matter. But it's a guy with potential. But I don't see Christian Boyd playing in week 1.
No.
I mean, I kept him because he's the only true nose tackle on this list. Shepard and Saunders can play nose tackle, but Boyd's like an actual big body. Even Vickers isn't. But if somebody's active in week 1 as the 4th defensive tackle, it's going to be Vickers and not Boyd. So I think I got this one wrong, even though I kept him.
It could be somebody that's not on the team yet either.
Exactly.
But I think
that's also a very high possibility.
I think there's going to be 5 here, though. I mean, and right now, but we saw Kendall Vickers getting first-team reps.
Yep.
Like, I just can't. I don't know.
But that was while Shepard was out. Shepard and Brzee was out. Shepard and Brzee were both out all.
He was getting some first-team snaps at the very last minicamp practice.
But Brzee never did team, did he?
He was lined up out there.
Oh, with Shepard. Yeah, with Shepard.
So, I mean, Vickers was rotating then, so I think, he has a real chance.
He did get a ton of valuable snaps. He's a real player, too. He's got, real NFL credits to his name, too.
Yeah. Vickers, I left him off because I added a safety on there that maybe we'll talk about it in the next one, but I don't know. Nothing. Like I said, they're not in pads, so I can't say he was dominant or getting beat or whatever. But he didn't stand out enough for me to put him on this. Now let's move on to safety, where you took off Will Harris and we kept him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see 6 here, but maybe there is. Yeah. Maybe there will be 6. But yeah, I got Tyron, Jordan Howden, Abram, JT Gray, Ugo Amadi. I never considered Will Harris, so I don't have a take for why I didn't put him on there. It wasn't like something I struggled with. He just was never on my list of guys.
What was your reason?
I chose him because I think also he can kind of fill that role like Daniel Sorensen did a couple years ago, special teams wise.
Special teams, yeah, same.
But that was
same as the Kalika Hudson pick.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like when he got signed, we were talking about his special
teams player.
If they chose him for special teams, this might have even been a Rizzy input. Who knows? But
yeah.
And that's true of a lot of these guys. I agree with you that 6 safeties is a heavy number. Spoiler alert: we all went with 4 corners, which we're going to talk about later. Ugo Amadi is the backup nickel, which almost makes him a pseudo corner. JT Gray is basically just a special teamer unless he plays safety in an emergency. So all of a sudden, I think Will Harris is actually the 4th safety. And we saw him doing that a lot. Because Jordan Howden was limited in camp. So Harris was getting a lot of second-team looks and a couple cameos with the first team maybe, but mostly second-team looks, so I can't. But absolutely replaceable if somebody comes out and
I think, for me, Ugo's value is that he allows you to carry one less. For me, that's kind of where I kind of see him.
Variability,
yeah. Like I think if he didn't have the slot ability, I don't know that he's necessarily the guy, but I think you keep him because it's like, well, he can give you 90% of the other guy, and you just keep him cover here, and it allows you to keep somebody else. That might change the numbers at a different position, though. So you still might take 6 safeties, but it might allow you to do something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really
Will Harris is close to like the 52nd or 53rd guy on mine, too. Yeah. For all those reasons.
When it came down to like putting together, I was like, man, 53 is not a lot of people. It felt really limited because I was like, oh, well, this person is upside this. It was kind of hard. But hey, I'm standing on my special teams pick. No, that'll take us to special. It
is one of those reasons, though, whenever everybody's like, you got to have 12 draft picks in every class, it's like, we're getting down to 53 on a team that we don't consider loaded. And you still don't have room for a 7-man draft class sometimes.
Exactly. But last but not least, let's hit the specialist.
Oh, there's one difference on here. Let's hear it.
That's right.
Me and Nick went basic. You didn't.
Yeah, and again for the podcast listeners, Groupie, Headley, and Zach Wood on our list.
But Brandon goes.
I went Charlie.
Charlie Smith.
I went with Charlie.
At kicker.
Blake. Yeah, at kicker. Blake was able to come in last year and take Will Lutz's spot. We saw it happen. But what I was able to see Charlie do, what we all saw Charlie do, when it wasn't windy out there, he was knocking them in. Now, with the wind, it was kind of hard to get his accuracy down. I think that could be developed, but he has the leg to make it. I think the type of specialists they have out there on the special teams coaching staff, they can turn him into what they need him to be as a big kicker.
Yeah, I think it's deeper than that, though. Like, everybody can sing in the bathroom, but can you sing on a stage? And he's never sung on a stage. So I got to see him sing on a stage before I can.
Okay, I like that one. I like that one.
Yeah,
I like that one.
There's no shame when no one can hear you, But
for sure,
you might not get the words out when you got a crowd. So yeah, I mean that's going to be something that he's got to figure out. But look, he might be able to do it. I just got to see it first.
Yeah, and look, I mean, even to use your analogy, he wasn't winning the bathroom battle. Like, he was struggling in the bathroom, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he was showing inconsistency during OTAs. Yeah. So if we were like, all right, he's made every kick we've seen out here in OTAs, but can he do it in a preseason game? Can he do it in a real game? But he's already struggling. So the good thing with him is he's a 17th bonus roster spot on the practice squad guaranteed because he came through the International Player Development Program. So the only way they lose him is if another team poaches him and puts him on their active roster. But that big leg is something they're going to get to keep working with all year long, even if they don't give him the job week one. But, yeah, I will agree it is a competition. Same with Lou Headley and Matthew Hayball. But just from what we saw this spring, the incumbents are still ahead. A lot of time left in those battles, though.
One person that we never had to worry about was Zach Wood. He's automatically going to be on there because
nobody. We got our top 21 player rankings coming next week, and I was like, does Zach Wood belong on this list just by being one of the best at what he does?
Yeah, I guess he might have to. But if you want to keep it locked to the best, make sure you stay with NewOrleans.Football. We're going to hit a quick break, and when we come back, we'll finish off the rest of the list and hit the Martin's question of the day. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable. And they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000.
Are you tired of renting and ready to own your dream home? Contact Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, your trusted source for home loans. Our competitive rates and flexible terms can help make your home ownership dreams a reality. If you're a first-time home buyer or looking to refinance, our experienced lenders are here to help. Our online application process allows you to apply on your schedule. It's quick, easy, and convenient. Visit us online at jeffersonfinancial.org to learn more. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Welcome back to PJ's at 2600 Airline Drive. It is now time for our next segment presented by Howard Hyatt Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Let's finish off with the last 4 positions that we have basically in there. So let's start off with quarterback. Which one was harder to kind of – that was easy.
Yeah, this is chalk. Carr, Hanners, Rattler.
Yeah.
No debates. Anybody struggle with Peterman?
No, but it was one thing that we learned this spring. I did wonder back when we talked theoretically who's the backup quarterback. Like, did they think the young guys are ready to step in as the backup in week one? Would Peterman be, like, penciled into that role and the young guys had to beat him out? Peterman was working distant fourth and did nothing to change that this summer.
Facts. Yeah,
this spring.
Very easy.
Very easy.
Tight end.
Jawan, Foster, Holker.
Yeah. We all agree, but it's sad.
Yeah, they need one more. It feels like they need one more. It'd be good if Jacobson forces his way onto the team.
That's what I was going to ask.
Feel a little bit deeper. I guess you got Taysom with some flexibility there. So maybe there's some different ways to put this together. But like I said before, these offenses, they're bottom third of the league. You go around, you look at the Shanahan system in terms of 2 and 3 tight end personnel. So as long as you got the one, that might be the one thing that helps them, and maybe they do. I think Juwan Johnson could have a better season if he gets healthy. I do believe deeply that Foster is going to probably be better this year than he was last year. Yeah. And I think we all like what we've seen from Holker, but It feels like a lot of solid guys and not the guy that's necessarily pushing the ceiling up on this, and that should be Juwan. Juwan was paid to be that, and it just really hasn't happened yet.
Dallin Holker should be more of a surprise. Like one of us picked Holker to make the roster instead. We both got him as tight end.
It was kind of easy to put him in.
Taysom's in this group, and Taysom's going to be used as a tight end. So 3 is okay, but I would like 3 better if Taysom's a pass catcher first. Juwan's a pass catcher first. Right. Dallin Holker might be a pass catcher only. So I think that's why we all think Foster Moreau's going to play a big role. He's the only professional blocker
yeah.
in the entire position group.
Nah, definitely easy. I mean, Holker's size, you might be saying, but I had to put him in there because Jacobson, he was doing very well during spring practices, but he missed a little bit of time, and Dallin Holker, he just stepped in and did what he had to do. Defensive end, same thing.
Carl Grinnerson, Cam Jordan, Chase Young, Foskey, Peyton Turner across the board for everybody. I don't really think there was really even – was there a decision here?
No, if Tano Passanio hadn't torn his Achilles, then we'd have a really tough decision. Who we leaving off? We keeping 6. Yeah. It gets really interesting if any one of these guys gets hurt. If any of these guys aren't going to be week 1, is like Nico Lalo someone that we think could make the roster or something like that. But as long as these 5 are healthy, they're all written in carved in stone for me. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think Tano would have changed my arithmetic here.
He would have been off?
Yeah, I think I would have left him off. Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, cornerback.
Marshawn, Adebo, Taylor, Kool-Aid across the board.
The easiest 4 we could possibly pick. But was there a 5th you guys considered? Is Ugo playing in the nickel make it you're deep enough?
I mean, Rajon would have been the guy, the other guy that might have made it. But yeah, Ugo having that flexibility to me kind of takes away one of them. How many outside guys do you need? I don't know if Rajon can play inside or not. We didn't see it, but I don't think all these guys can play outside, so I don't think that you need another layer of depth there. Yeah, I mean, it feels like having these 4 in their ability to play inside, outside with Taylor and McKinstry allows you to carry 4. That's the luxury of kind of having this group.
And Ugo and Will Harris, who we kept, could also be nickel guys. Like, if you get deep into your roster, you just keep moving these guys outside and you move other guys into the nickel. Yeah.
Rajon feels like a guy that can get on the practice squad, but if he has like a great preseason, I could see
it's
that.
Not over for him.
I could see that changing a little bit, and it's forced to where they got to keep him, but. As long as he's kind of a secret, I think that you can do this, and he feels like
he was until this episode. Way to go, Nick.
Yeah, if he feels like somebody that can get through to the practice squad, though.
Definitely. But like we've kind of talked about it off and on throughout going through this list, if we had the chance to add a 54th player, who would your 54th player be? I mean, I'll start. I think it's Bud Memes for me, personally. It was hard for me to take him off the list, but I think if he ends up developing during training camp, he can be my 54th player.
Mine was same position, Equinemius St. Brown. Okay. He was my last guy off. We talked about it at the receiver spot. I had a hard time keeping 6 receivers. We kept so many running backs and fullbacks and kept 3 quarterbacks. I usually try to go 25 offense, 25 defense, but that doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes it's 26, 24. So,
sure.
He's one Kendall Vickers was the other one. Those are 2 guys I might be wrong on.
I don't know if I really got one. I mean, maybe Jacobson. Like, I'd want him to force his way to be on there.
You mentioned him earlier when we talked about tight ends. Matthew Jacobson, who's had a really impressive spring. Yeah.
Michael Jacobson.
Michael Jacobson. That's how impressive it is.
I don't feel like I cut anyone that I'm dying to get on the team.
I feel like when I compiled this because I wrote the write-up earlier in this week for our subscribers. I feel like you were making changes at linebacker at the last second.
Well, I had Orgy. I took off Orgy and went to Jackson, and then I said, nah, you know what, go back to Orgy. That was it.
But you would have never kept both.
No, I don't think it's both. Maybe Jalen Ford is somebody, but I haven't seen him, so I don't know that I'm missing anything yet. I don't know what I'm missing. It's kind of –
I was going to ask one more question. Because we've got Taysom Hill on this team, we all kept 1 fullback. Dallin Holker's a pseudo fullback. Everyone was comfortable with just 3 running backs?
Yeah, I think so.
We didn't mention Jordan Mims has been getting a ton of runs this spring. But there are NFL teams that keep 5 running backs pretty routinely. We're pretty good with just 3 on this team.
Jordan Mims would probably be, now that you said the name, he's probably the guy that I was most impressed with throughout the practices that just it doesn't feel like there's room for him.
Yeah,
right. But maybe there should be.
Completely forgot. Completely forgot about Mims.
I think he'd be my 54th.
Because when AK wasn't there, he was performing, and then when whatever was happening with Kendra, when he wasn't in on certain drills, Mim was coming in and doing his thing. So
I
forgot.
Wasn't it when AK was there the first day they did the 2-minute drill? He was catching passes from Derek Carr with the ones in the 2-minute drill.
He was doing more. It felt like he did more than Jamal and Kendra both.
Definitely more than Kendra.
Maybe even combined. Like it felt like he was getting more run than both of them.
Yeah.
Something I like about him.
And we just
aren't taking him serious, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we should be.
Well, because we think Taysom Hill should get over 100 carries. So.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, now it's time for our Martin Wine and Spirits questions of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel-select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's so much more than just wine. The first question comes from JC. JC asks, all of the NFC South teams have new offensives led by people with Sean McVay and Shanahan ties. Is this a net positive or negative for the Saints this season?
I wanted to pick this question, but I do want to qualify. It's not 100% true. I mean, Dave Canales worked with Shane Waldron while they were both in Seattle together, but he came up like under Pete Carroll there. So he got some influences from Shane Waldron. He's done his own thing, and he brought in his own offensive coordinator. So that one's loosely. But, without question, the Buccaneers now have Liam Cohen, who worked closely with McVay, and the Zach Robinson worked closely with McVay in Atlanta. So I did like choosing this question because it is very true that almost all the new offenses in this division come from the same umbrella.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they do, and there's a lot of stuff that's similar, but like I would say that these two trees kind of have gone separate ways a little bit. Like McVay's offense is all 11 personnel, tight formations. Shanahan's isn't necessarily all that, although it is a lot more 11 personnel, but not in the same way. It isn't trying to do everything like through that philosophy. So there's similarities, and they are born from the same thing, but it is a little bit, it's like a rose bush versus like a Seven Sisters rose. Like they're both roses, but they grow differently a little bit. So like there's some differences there. But I don't think it matters. Like I think the whole league is basically led by
any division
by
you're in,
these
you're going to
ties.
have three teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, they don't have like a Greg Roman offense in their division, or even an Arthur Smith offense in their division.
Nobody's
anymore.
Like surprising anybody with this like exotic offense.
But it is a really good point because other people have brought this up too. I feel like it was in an overtime question or something. No, it cannot hurt to see this in practice every day to prepare yourself for what you're going to see for 3/4 of the NFL schedule or 2/3 of the NFL schedule. And we've even had Dennis Allen and players talk about, like, seeing this stuff in practice is helping them learn stuff. Mike Hodges has been peppering Taysom Hill with questions. Like, we heard him doing it on the field, and Taysom Hill said he cornered me in the hallway, and he's like, what are you doing when you do this? Like Mike, they're learning from going against this offense in practice. So, they're learning so much about it. That's great because they're going to be facing a lot of it in the NFL.
Yeah, Nick, showing off that green thumb, bro. You flexing it? You flexing that green thumb?
Yeah.
Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you getting in that flower space, man. The next question. The next question comes from Mike Armitage.
Order your NOFBK for the next big
That's
event
right.
you have.
That's right. That's right. Mike Armitage. Mike Armitage asks, what's up with all the Saints cap space and low-dollar defensive back signings? Aren't they missing one starting safety with lots of them on the market?
Yeah, I think you can make a case for them going out to get one, but they just there's not a lot of value in the market right now. Like Marcus May's a low value signing right now. You just got signed for like 1.6, I think, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So they could be just waiting for that market to just keep falling. But I mean, there's one guy out there, but I don't know that they make a significant investment there, or if a significant investment necessarily changes everything you're doing. Changes your reality significantly. But like if Justin Simmons, if the value came down $3 million or something, sure, I think they'd do it. But I don't think they're going to go out there and make a big dollar signing. And I don't think teamers signed with the idea of safety. It's a special team signing at that point.
This happens all the time in the NFL. I mean, it certainly happened in the first week of free agency. There's different levels of signing. Sometimes you're signing a starting safety, but Mac McCain was the other one. And it's here in the question. We didn't get to it in the news and notes segment since we were doing the 53-man roster today. Mac McCain, a cornerback, Roderick Teamer, a safety. Those are guys we didn't put on our 53-man roster. They're going to compete for a special teams role on this team or whatever. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you sign Roderick Teamer. You will never sign Justin Simmons. But it's a position they had decided to save money at and not spend money at.
Usually in overtime, we have questions where the fans, they get to know us a little bit more. They get to see like where our head is at on certain things outside of football sometimes. But since Sour Patch Kids is like one of the consensus favorite candies in the office, we went with this question. Michael asks, what's your favorite Sour Patch Kid flavor?
Yeah, there's only one. I mean, there's only one.
I don't know about that. Let's see where you're at.
No, there's only one. Blue.
All right. Yeah, we
there's
gang.
only one.
Yeah, for sure.
So, this was the perfect question. We challenged people to get creative, and they did, and they nailed it. I don't know if they know about the Sour Patch.
Yeah, no, I just did their podcast, and we did a whole
they know.
segment on it. Yeah, they got the podcast Saints of City.
The Sour Patch is, I think it's the leading candy in the NOF offices in the press box. Like
Sweet Tart Roast.
Sweet Tart Roast,
very high on the list.
Sour Patches have been just a nonstop presence since I came to
sure.
work for here. So that
We even got the Sour Patch Oreos.
I will, however, say. I'm going to shame myself. Maybe it's because I'm an old.
If you say yellow, just leave.
Orange?
I had not had enough. Like, I feel bad for this. I have not eaten Sour Patch enough in my life to, like, individualize them. I'm kind of a handful of Sour Patches. I do have strong opinions on Skittles, though.
Okay.
Red by far the best, purple by far the worst. So those
Skittles?
I eat individually.
You put purple
Sour
Skittles
Patch
at the bottom?
I think purple Skittles bring down the
See
the
what
rest of the bag.
See what happens when you get old. Your taste buds get muted.
No, I've never liked purple.
He can't taste.
He can't
nothing.
handle it.
He
Never
can't
liked
taste nothing. He
Give
can't
me,
tell the
give me
difference.
red.
That's right.
Give
That's
me
right.
red. Strong number 1. Green. Strong number 2. Yellow and orange tied for third. Purple. Distant.
Oh, no, man.
I don't even know.
no.
Starburst. Starburst.
blue-
Red and pink. The top 2.
That's right.
Blue Starburst or blue Sour Patch is like it's like the pink Starburst, like to
Yeah.
where it's like broken.
Everybody-
It's hot
It's
commodity.
broken out. Like you
Yeah.
can get a package just blues.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah,
blue
yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
blue Sour Patch drink. Like it stands alone. It stands alone.
Yeah. That's
It's
how
the
I feel
pinnacle.
about both the red and the green Skittle. Purples. It's like banana Laffy Taffy.
Yeah. Get the
it
banana
out
and
of
Laffy Taffy. Get Laffy Taffy's whole out of here. I'm standing on that.
Ridiculous, man.
They got good riddles and jokes and stuff
Shout out
like
to
that.
my guy JD, man. We'll eat all the bananas, man. The banana.
See what I
Laffy
mean?
Taffy.
Good,
You
can
just
have 'em.
listen
You can
to
have
our
'em. Purple
dude,
Skittles
JD.
and banana
JD
Laffy
is,
Taffy.
JD's a man of great taste, man.
bro, JD probably eat like gas station candy like Boston baked beans or something like that. Like, what are you talking about,
What?
bro?
Don't put that allegation on him, man. Not JD. Boston baked beans. JD wouldn't associate with anything to do with Boston. I'll say that for him. I'll say that for him.
Hey, shout out to JD, man. But I don't know, man. Sometimes your candy takes are kind of.
Yellow was the.
I'm
the
not
reject
protecting you
of
when
the
he comes
Sour
to you, man.
Patches?
Who, JD?
I'm not
I'll stand
protecting
on
you.
that.
I'm not protecting you when he
I'll
comes
stand
to
on
you.
that. JD is an
Yellow
older
the
cat,
reject
so he
of the
probably.
Sour Patches, by the way. To further
Yellow?
the original question, when you said don't say yellow, yellow's Sour
That's
Patch
the
has
worst
a worse
one.
flavor.
Yellow,
Sour Patch-
yeah,
yellow and
green
orange.
can
Yeah.
go. Orange.
Green.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Yellow and green, like they're the worst flavors.
Are you serious?
Like every time, unless it's green apple. But like,
Bro, I've seen you in
Oh, you
action.
know
You
when
just
yellow-
dig your hand in the
No,
pack and whatever you come up with,
like
you
them.
good.
I like them all, but like if I gotta tier rank them, like those two are at the bottom.
You know when yellow is an absolute worst?
Where?
My wife and my oldest son
get
love
back to you.
chewy sweet tarts.
Yeah.
And they get these bags on
Yeah.
road trips and stuff.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, there is a half a bag of just yellow chewy sweet
That's
tarts.
right.
It's almost like they're the flavorless one.
Kind of, sort of. Yellow is a universally poof
I
flavor.
like a yellow Starburst okay, though.
Oh, nah, that's bottom of the list. Nick,
There's no bad Starburst.
top 3 Sour Patches. Blue,
Blue, of course.
of course. Red, and then green.
Like no, man, orange. Orange, I had a green.
I think
Lose
I'm
me
green
on that
ahead of
one.
orange. I'll break the tie. In
Shut up.
most, most candies. In most candies.
She just can't even taste
In most
nothing.
candies.
E, what you got? What are your top 3? He
Blue.
said blue. You got blue 1, red 2. You got yellow. You got
All right, he
good.
threw
All right,
yellow
all
in
right,
there. He
good.
threw yellow
Good.
in
All
there.
right, all right.
Well, y'all drop in the comments what y'all think are the best Sour Patch flavors and what's the best candy overall, because this is something we often talk about. Nick, he get a little weird when it comes to certain candies, like your whole Twizzlers, Red Vines thing is.
Twizzlers are great, especially the bites. The strawberry Twizzler bites. Yeah.
Hey, you
The
got
red vines are asshole. No, don't even put a red vine around.
He knows Twizzlers are so bad he had to qualify it twice. He had to get
Facts.
strawberry flavor, which
Facts.
is superior to regular Twizzler, and bites. because no one wants to eat a whole lot.
That's part of the Twizzler family.
Yeah, Twizzler family.
That was smart not to pair him with B, though. Like, even if it was green, you don't want to be, like, in public lumped in with B.
Man, calm down, man.
All right,
that's what I was saying. We appreciate y'all for stopping in today. We appreciate y'all for joining the show. For our live viewers, overtime is coming up. And for those who aren't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. You could have had the 53-man roster list a little bit earlier if you were. Overtime is next. Check you next time.